Welcome back to Smashing Heads Podcast. This is our recap for Ride or Dies, episode 13. My name is Zach, and I'm joined, as always, by my wife, Hannah.
Hey, what's up?
It's, we're getting there. We're getting caught up on these things. We should, in the next day or two, be completely caught up, which would get us on track to be ready to go Wednesday when the new episode premieres. After this current one we're recording, we only have last week's episode to record for. So basically,
It's not last week yet. It's this week's episode, not the new episode next week.
What? It is the day we're recording is Sunday night, and it is last week's episode. What day do you start your weeks on?
Monday.
Okay.
If you open my planner,
I don't want to open your planner.
My planner for last year and my planner for this year both start on Monday.
Yeah, well, if you ask anybody what's the first day of the week, they're not going to say Monday.
First day of the work week.
That's not what we're talking about. We didn't say this is the work week's episode. Yeah.
You know, you never know.
No, I do know. I do know.
What do you do?
That's not an answer for anything. So we're getting caught up. We're almost there, and we've got one more. Some interesting things happened in this episode.
We got all the thoughts about it.
Yeah. It's we'll get into it in a second. I haven't plugged this in a long time just because we've been getting caught up. But follow us on social media at Smashing Heads on Twitter, at Smashing Heads Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and like and subscribe. Rate and review, all that stuff. Just get into it.
Subscribe.
You can't even say it. So we...
well, we want you to do it. So
yeah,
subscribe.
We've got a lot of stuff that we've been trying to get caught up on, and this is just one of them. Basically, we're doing 4 podcasts in the last 8 days.
That's okay.
Or so. That's what we're trying to get done.
That's 2 a day.
No, it is not. It is not that. It is not that. You went the opposite direction on that one. If you wanted to do per day, it would be 0.5 per day. Or 1 every 2 days, which is what is the correct one. Do you think we've recorded 2 podcasts a day for the last 8 days?
Or 2 every 4 days.
That is a more complicated way of saying what I said, but yeah. So
I got there.
I'm still not sure you're there.
No, I got there.
I feel like you're kind of, it's like the saying where they're like, well, yeah, if you give a chimpanzee a typewriter and enough time, sure, that someday one of them will write Shakespeare, but just probability-wise, I feel like you're kind of in that territory. You just kept throwing out numbers until something stuck.
No, I was in the ballpark. Yes, I was. I was in the ballpark the first time, and then the second one was also a correct answer.
I don't know.
Yes, it was.
Well, this episode starts with Fessy apologizing to Olivia because he sent Nelson home, and, she gets it. She knows how it is.
He also, for whatever reason, is hoping that the other team will stop gunning for him now that he won the elimination.
It's not
no, that's all the more reason to keep going after you.
Yeah, it's cool. You've proven that you're a threat on the team. If we have a chance to take you out, we're going to try to take you out.
I thought it was funny that Mariah tried to tell him that she didn't know her burn vote would send him into elimination, even though she had the final vote. Yeah,
that wasn't, again, because I kind of stuck up for her in the sense of, because her saying then was, well, I don't know what happens if we tie it up. It could be one of our guys.
Right.
But her saying that after the fact kind of contradicted the reasoning.
So either she was just lying to him to make him try and feel better about it, or she legitimately doesn't understand what a burn vote is or how it works.
I don't know. I still don't falter if you think there may be a chance that one of your guys would end up whatever.
No, she did the right thing for sure.
And also Fessy hasn't looked out for her at all.
Exactly. And she's even talked about it.
Yeah. So, because Bananas kind of threw her under the bus on that before that. is like, wow, she really screwed you on that one.
Yeah. And then so after that, Fessel tries to confront Jordyn about going back on his word. Jordyn explains that his vote was simply to spite Tori, and then Jordyn and Tori start yelling at each other. No.
Tori says, "Well, let's just hash it out," and Jordyn just says, "No."
Yeah,
and he didn't. It's like nothing to hash out. But then they do end up getting into it
in front of everyone in the house. Because like I made a note that I felt uber uncomfy in my house, so I can't imagine how the people that were in the room with them felt.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, again, she played it one way, tried to manipulate him, and he just was like, no, you're not going to do that, and then called her out about it, and now she's upset and wants to just, like, play victim on it, and it's like, well, you started this. Like, he was exercising on a bike by himself.
It was like she was using this as a window of opportunity to try and hold power over him, to prove that she still had power over him in their personal relationship. And now that it backfired and she sees that she holds zero power over him like that, it's almost like she's lashing out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
because exactly I can't snap my fingers and make you do what I want you to do no matter what. So now this is going to turn into like a big huge fight.
Her thing was, I wasn't doing it that way. Like, that's not how I meant it. And he's like, that's exactly what you said.
Yeah. No, she meant it that way. She's trying
a threat.
She's trying to backtrack now that she realizes that it didn't work.
Yeah. Again, it was extortion. Basically, like, you do this, otherwise we'll have real consequences outside of the game. And he's like, well, that shows me what I need to know. So
I felt out of this whole situation, I think I felt the most worst for Devin.
Okay.
Because you could tell he didn't know what to do in this situation, because Tori is his ride or die and one of his best friends, but also he's on a team with Jordyn now.
Jordyn is his number one player on his team.
Right.
Yeah.
So like what do you do in that situation?
Well, I mean, nothing. Like, you stay out of it because you didn't have anything to do with it anyway. Again, Tori should have gone to Devin if she wanted to relay something to Jordyn. And,
exactly.
So after that, Amber and Chauncey like FaceTime with her sister and her niece, and I'm assuming her mom. They never give her mom a little like
lower third
with her name or who she was in relation to him, but the older lady looked exactly like her sister. And so I'm assuming that is the mom in the situation. It would make sense.
I think it was either Amber's first season or second season. She was talking about her parents because they like met in the military or something.
I don't remember.
And they showed, it was in a confessional, and they showed like a flashback picture of her parents together. But for the life of me, I can't remember what her mom looks like.
I don't even remember that happening, but I mean, it probably did. Yeah, they do that, and she cries, because she hasn't seen him and all that. And then it kind of transitions to Nany and Casey outside with balloons.
My note for this, like Nany and Casey, they have a really nice moment, and I get that it's important for Nany's mom's birthday.
Yeah, that was the reason.
But my note was Nany and Casey pollute the atmosphere with balloons for Nany's mom's birthday.
Yeah, it is kind of.
I hate when people just release balloons into the air because it's nothing but pollution.
Yeah, it's kind of goes. I get the symbolic meaning behind it. At the same time, though, it is kind of annoying when people do, especially when they do a lot of them.
Yeah.
But this was a thing for her mom. That was her way of showing that it's kind of like, probably more than anything, cathartic. Like, you're showing that you're also physically letting go and are able to kind of cope with what's happened.
Right. Did you notice that we watched this episode?
Yeah, I watched it
on my mom's birthday, who is alive still.
Yeah, I didn't remember that. I didn't remember that was exactly the same day. But so we get to the daily, and the daily is called Blind Faith, and basically there's going to be 4 like mini games, and you just have to decide before knowing what they are who's going to play them. And
It's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
I just at the time I wasn't sure how it was going to play out.
Yeah, so they just revealed the first little picture, and it's a target, and they're like, okay, who's going to play? And Jordyn immediately is like, all right, I'll play. And then Fessy says he's doing it just because Jordyn is doing it. And so we get there. Basically, there's these targets set up, a slingshot with golf balls, and you find out that for every time you miss, you have to break 3 of the 7 panes.
Mm-hmm.
But every time you miss, you have to drink some 4 ounces of something. Yeah, they didn't. It's weird that they never even like said like, oh, it's like fish goop. Or, like they just are like it's a mystery. Figure it out if you're the audience. Like typically they would say like, oh, that's blended, cockroaches.
Testicle brains.
What testicle brains? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. So you had an idea. This one, they're just like, it's just weird. But trust us on it. And so we knew immediately.
Do you think that they kept it a secret to mess with Fessy that much more?
I don't know if they kept it a secret from them or if they just kept it out of the edit for the audience.
Oh.
And so, they go into it and immediately you're like, well, that's Fessy's weakness. Like he can't eat stuff. He can't drink stuff.
Jordyn is ecstatic.
Yeah. Well, the thing is also like, as we go into it, like lots of misses. So many people are missing. And
so many of the 2 people are missing.
Well, just nobody's hitting anything. And Fessy, like, everything we saw, like, I get everyone's like, oh, congratulations, Fessy, you pulled through. All the stuff we saw, he wasn't actually drinking it.
It
was going in his mouth and then immediately back out.
It was like he was making the throw up sounds because like anybody can do that on command.
And he may have been gagging.
And so you can make it sound like you're actually throwing up without actually having to throw up. And so it from every close-up shot that we saw,
he never drank.
He never actually drank it. He put it in his mouth, and then made a vomit sound, and immediately spit it out. Cop out.
Agreed. Now, however, if I were in the same situation and I could get away with that, I would absolutely do the same thing.
All day long.
Because I don't want that sitting inside of me for the rest of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing the like nature of the show, it did seem like Jordyn was drinking and then throwing up, and Fessy was putting it in his mouth to the point to where he gags, and then it all just comes back out.
Mm-hmm.
Now maybe we didn't see everything. We understand that. But basically what happens is somehow Devin becomes like a sniper spotter and understands the trajectory and how far they're missing and how they should, because he's not lined up directly behind them. He's off to the side, but he's like, all right, pull it down a little bit more, pull it to the left, and then he just lines it up.
Devin was really analyzing how Jordyn was doing this, and he just yelled out, hey, every sniper has a spotter. Let me be your spotter. And the very first try, Jordyn finally hits one of the targets, and so then Jordyn yells back out something. No, he says in a confessional, Devin is like Russell Crowe out at sea.
Yeah, so they go through it, and basically Jordyn finishes at 38 minutes and 35 seconds. He gets 3 of them, and at this point, I don't think Fessy has any. He may have gotten 1, but I think he may have 1. But anyway, he just miserably missing. And so finally, they're like, Devin, help him, because they just felt so bad for him. And so Devin then does his sniper spotter magic and gets Fessy to stop it at 1 hour and 3 minutes and 33 seconds.
Devin said part of the reason why he decided to have mercy on Fessy and help him is because, one, Tori, at the end of the day, is still his ride or die.
Yes.
And she's on that team, and I believe this is Girls' Elimination Day. And 2, he said it would take a miracle for them to catch up.
Yes.
Famous last words.
And so turns out it didn't take a miracle. It just took that their team couldn't pull through in the final event.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so at this point, they're like 20-something minutes ahead, 25 minutes or so. The next one is a puzzle where it's Olivia and Anissa versus Devin and Nany. Olivia and Anissa, they stop it at 1 hour 33 minutes and 7 seconds, and Devin and Nany stop it at 1 hour 9 minutes and 2 seconds. I like that we're getting the minutes time. Now, it was basically even. They lost about a minute and a half or so on that one. And so there wasn't much to say about that. They basically carried some like pieces. You had to carry all the pieces across and then solve a tanagram or whatever they're called. And so the next one it's just a light bulb, and they don't know what that means. And so Tori and Bananas go against Horacio and Amber, and Horacio and Amber kill them.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was funny that Horacio, he volunteered to go with Amber because he said it's an honor to work with Amber, who is a challenge champ. He's
maybe the only person who sees her as that's left in this group.
But hey, they both pulled their weight.
No,
and
they did. They
absolutely killed it.
Yeah, they took about 22 minutes to finish theirs, and the other team took, rough math, man, like an hour. Because they went from an hour and 33 minutes to 2 hours and 32 minutes, the second team. So it took them an hour. And basically it's just, you saw it, memorize the puzzle key, run to however many yards to your friends, your partner, and then tell them what you saw, and then they have to recreate it. And so they have a substantial lead heading into this. They have a 37-minute lead, I think, at this point. And it's the bungee thing, and it's an elimination we've seen a bunch of times similar, where you just have to use your own strength to like pull through this bungee system, to make either the other person not make it to their side or whatever. And this time it's in pairs, so it's Chauncey and Casey versus Jordyn and Mariah. Right away, Chauncey's just big. He's got big legs, got big arms, like he's a strong dude. Casey is very athletic. I don't know how like physically just overpowering she is, but she is athletic. Jordyn is not nearly as big as Chauncey, just muscle wise.
He's more wiry.
Yes, and also he only has one hand, and
he's never let it stop him before.
No, but Chauncey and Casey they stopped their time at 3 hours and 9 minutes and 38 seconds. And so it basically took them like 40 minutes or so to do this. Well, it took basically Jordyn and Mariah multiple tries, and they went at it for, I'm trying to do the math on top of my head, for about an hour and 15 minutes before time was called. And you could go back and say, well, what if Devin doesn't help Fessy? I just don't know if Jordyn and Mariah as a team would have been able to do that, like just together.
Well, they got really close.
Mariah kept losing her grip.
The last go around, Jordyn was about a foot away from the bar.
Yeah.
And Mariah's hand slips, and she comes completely off of it, and they just lose.
Yeah. They couldn't get back in enough time, and so my note, I had two notes for this. Once Chauncey and Casey complete it, Jordyn and Mariah had 40 minutes to work with extra. Yeah.
And then, after Jordyn and Mariah lose, question, does Devin regret helping Fessy now?
So I don't know exactly what he said because I don't want to go back and look now, but he said something on Twitter about the reason why he held Fessy. And to be honest, I just don't know if with that setup, if Mariah and Jordyn together would be able to complete it, like just in general. The guys on this, underdog team are not as strong, just like up physically. And honestly, I think if you look at all the guys that were left on the bigger team, whatever, like Fessy, Bananas, and Chauncey all probably could pull themselves just through body, like their upper body strength and legs better than anyone on the other team. And so I don't know. It's just one of those things where, there's just nothing they could do about it. And so they kind of get back to the house, and Amber tells Chauncey not to be hard on himself because he he knows she could go home.
He is absolutely distraught over winning.
He's crying
because now Amber is up for elimination. Like he feels so bad about winning that he cries, and she has to like console him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like they're both pretty emotional, and so I did tell you, I was like, maybe that is one of the reasons why they're together, because Amber's kind of really emotional too.
Well, typically you don't need. It's not a great idea for both to be overly emotional in a relationship.
I didn't say Chauncey was overly emotional. This is the most emotion that we've seen out of it.
No, I agree. I just don't know one way or the other if to say, oh, he's emotional, just because like typically you need someone to kind of balance that type of, if that's the persona one person has in a relationship.
But maybe because she is generally a pretty emotional person, she might need someone who can tap into his more emotional side, so that just in general in their relationship, he kind of understands where she's coming from and doesn't think like, oh, you're just being an emotional woman.
Oh, good Lord.
I know, like I hear that phrase like all the time on social media and stuff. And so I think for a woman who is more emotional than not, she probably needs, in order to compliment her, she needs a man who can be emotional at times.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I don't think it was like played up or anything like that. So
no, I think it was fully real, like how he felt about it. And it, like, I've been like middle of the road on Chauncey just because we haven't seen a lot from him, but this kind of made me like him a little bit more.
I like him.
It made him seem like more real.
They haven't done much. Like they've just kind of been in the background for a lot of it. And so we get to the interrogation, and Nany, when she comes in, is basically just kind of like laying out the facts for every player so far, like that's left on her team. Like, hey, I did this, Mariah's done this, whatever. And
also, Casey comes to her rescue and immediately brings up how her life, Nany's life, was flipped upside down right before coming, and then encourages her for doing so well.
I feel like that is a little bit of emotional manipulation.
Yes, 100%. Like, hey, Nany's walking in the door. Nany, we know your whole life was completely flipped upside down right before you came in the house.
I can't blame Casey for doing it, but it is manipulating your fellow teammates.
You got to do what you got to do. I'm fine with it.
So Amber then comes in, and then I just wrote she asked them a question, but I don't even remember what she asked.
I've got it all.
But basically, she just threw Mariah under the bus.
Amber asked the group how many of them had to go into elimination their rookie season. Yeah. Also, she says that she wants to see Nany get to a final. And then, to top it all off, she was talking about Mariah, and then Fessel adds that he was upset Mariah didn't save him from elimination last time.
He brought that up during Amber's confessional?
Yes.
What a weirdo.
Because Amber was kind of like fanning the flame, like, hey, out of the three of us, one of us is a rookie, and that person hasn't seen elimination yet.
I mean, he basically says the same thing when Mariah comes in. It's like, hey, you didn't save me.
Well, yeah, Mariah comes in, and he immediately brings up the burn vote.
Yeah. That's why I didn't remember against Amber.
And then, like, Bananas in a confessional during this says that he's disappointed Fessy basically gives the team the green light to go after his ride or die with zero repercussions.
He did, for sure.
He also says that he would never treat his ride or die like that, which, again, goes back to, I don't think they're actually that close.
Yeah.
I think they might have been on friendly terms, like kind of knew each other before coming on, but
was she on other shows before this?
I don't know.
I don't know. I gotta, like, it's no dig at her, but like she doesn't have the most like outgoing, like fun personality that we've seen. I'm not saying she's not fun, but she's not the typical reality TV over the top, hey, I want to be the center of attention type person.
She's not the super outgoing, friendly party type, but also she's not the villain.
Yeah,
because we've had a few on here that are the villains, and you got to have somebody you root against.
No, I agree with that, but I feel like maybe she hasn't done anything else. Someone else probably knows. So, Casey and Nany talk after, and basically Casey just says she doesn't want to play without her. Obviously, Shardy lost her brother in the game, which she doesn't know who's still sneaking around in the shadows somewhere.
Do you think that's what he's doing?
Yeah.
Do you think at night after they all go to bed,
No, I think
Kenny comes out and like peeks through the bushes in the house?
I think Kenny is, and anyone who's still in the game at this point that's been technically eliminated, they make them like hide like out at the dailies, and they get to like listen to what's happening, but they can't really see anything.
Do you really think that, or are you just being funny?
No, I don't think that. It would be insane because they could spoil the whole thing just by doing that. If someone sneezed and they're like, "Who sneezed behind that prop over there?" Amber and Chauncey cried too. I think maybe this was the time they cried. I don't remember, but
no, they cried earlier.
Well, we get to the elimination, and basically they voted Mariah. Pretty typical. Everyone's like, "Hey, who's your vote?" Like, sorry, I'm good with this person, so my vote's for Mariah. The only person who, of course, had to make a speech out of it was Tori, to go, "Oh, you know what? I think you're really great, and I love everything that you do." And it's just like, just vote. Like, you don't have to give a speech.
I mean, I will give Fessy this much. He did start off the votes, and he started his vote with Nany.
Yeah.
So, however he may feel about Mariah, he still didn't say her name. At the end of the day, he didn't say her name.
Yeah.
But as soon as Mariah gets voted in, Fessy has confessional. Here we go. Because you were like, are you kidding me? Fessy said Mariah has dodged elimination 12 or 13 times. Yeah. 1, there haven't been 12 or 13 girls' elimination days. 2, also Fessy avoided elimination a ton his rookie season.
Yeah, this
had
is
3 question marks.
This is episode 13, and so for the last 6-ish episodes, it's been alternating guys and girls. So she hasn't avoided that many eliminations as far as it's not like she's been eligible because her and Fessy won a couple of dailies, and so like you're not eligible. It's not like she's just been avoiding them on that. So yeah, it's hyperbole like at its finest. So they voted Mariah. It comes to the draw, and Amber just starts crying and tells Nany to pull the sword, and Nany's like, "No, do it." And then Amber thinks about it, and then she cries again and tells Nany she's got to do it. And then Amber pulls the dagger, and she's safe. And so that means Nany's going in. The elimination is called I Can See. And then TJ brings out his wife. And
I have so many thoughts on this.
It's very I get kind of the thematic side behind it as far as he's like, "Hey, this is my ride or die.
My wife."
It's just it's odd that this was the moment that they brought her out. Like, why
not the first episode?
Yeah. Yeah, why not like early on? Like,
yeah.
Now, cuz the thing is from what I've gathered, again, we haven't interviewed TJ, but I've heard him talk before and read about a lot of times his wife does travel with them when they go to these places, and when they're not filming, like when he's not having to host, like he's with her somewhere, and they're like, "Oh, we're just in Argentina and we're gonna, do whatever." And so I get that why I don't think they flew her in for this.
No, we know that she was already there. But he said he was bringing out a special guest, to watch Nany and Mariah. And my question was, but why?
Well, honestly, it could have been like they were just having like a morning production meeting or something, and they're like, "Oh yeah, when TJ comes out, he's gonna talk about," because they're just talking about they don't know that their ride or die is just gonna stay in the game, and they're like, "Oh, well, TJ's wife's here. Why don't we just have him say that's his ride or die?" And they're like, "Why didn't we think about this 12 weeks earlier?" And I mean, it doesn't take 12 weeks to film this far out, but it could have just been that it didn't click until later, and they was like, "Well, we better do it," like rather than just not do it.
Well, they started the elimination. And in the middle of it, TJ, like the camera cuts to TJ whispering to his wife.
Yeah.
He's like, Mariah is putting up all the letters first and then solving. That's a horrible strategy.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
Yeah. Which if she's there, show them interact. Why else is she there? Otherwise, you're not showing anything.
It made a whole lot of not sense to me.
So Fessy Was this when Fessy said something about?
Fessy said he would not cheer for either Nany or Mariah.
Yeah.
Because Mariah burn votes every chance she gets.
Yeah. Again, that's
and
what,
I said,
was like, again,
all
Fessy,
caps, bro, it happened one time.
Yeah, I was like, Fessy, again, full of hyperbole about Mariah. Like, it literally happened for the first time last week, and that's it.
And she said she didn't know what it meant.
And he's like, it happens all the time. And I was like, good.
Every chance, Mariah bird votes every chance she gets.
Yeah, like, calm down.
Good
man.
Lord.
So they're going through it, and honestly, Nany's struggling a little bit, and we get to the end, and Nany asks for a check, and then Mariah immediately asks for a check.
They asked for a check at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And TJ was like, hit the button, because apparently that's what you're supposed
hit the button,
to do.
and then Mariah hits the button first, but as she looks back over her board, she realized she wrote Devotoin instead of devotion. Yeah. And so Nany wins because hers is all correct.
Pretty sure Nany cries.
Yeah, but I mean that's about as close as you can get on elimination, and it's literally just you put OI instead of ION, in the heat of the moment. So
it's easy to make that mistake.
Yeah. So she caught it, and she was a good sport about it. She wasn't like cussing or getting mad.
No, she was like,
why
oh my
did
gosh,
nobody help me? Like
exactly. She was like, oh my gosh,
she's like, I messed up.
I can't believe I did that. Okay.
Again, very understated, like not over the top at all.
Yeah.
So,
now, my next note is I still don't understand why TJ's wife came out just to watch the elimination and use the blowhorn.
Again,
I don't understand.
She got to be in on the action. Like if I was there and I've just been traveling around with this and I never got to be on set and like, do you want to come be on set? I'd be like, absolutely.
But why this episode? If you're
you're
gonna bring her out as a special guest, do it either for the last elimination before the final, or when you gather everyone to tell them, hey, this is my ride or die.
Maybe
surprise, we're going to the final. Since you're still in the game, your ride or die is actually still here too, and then bring them out.
Maybe they had some like time constraints because maybe like she could only be there for 2 weeks, and then she had to go back for whatever reason, or because they have kids, I'm pretty sure, and so it's she may not be able to stay out the entire time that TJ's out filming, and so I was like, hey, she just got here and she's gonna be here through the thing. This is the first time we can get her on, or it's like the last week we can get her on, one or the other. So. Mariah leaves, everyone leaves, goes back to the house, all that stuff, and then Mariah,
before Mariah comes back, Fessy has one more confessional where he's talking about Mariah, and he said, I'm super proud of her, but at the end of the day, our team is super strong. And then immediately Mariah has a confessional where she says, I think Fessy is secretly happy I'm gone.
Yeah. Again, like they're not as close as what they acted to be cast on this season together.
Right.
So Mariah comes back. TJ tells her, hey, as long as your teammate's here, you're still here, blah, blah, blah. I believe, I don't know anything for sure. I believe the next episode, which we haven't watched yet, which is the one that we're behind on, is when they bring back some of the people.
Okay.
I don't know that for sure, but so that's the end of this episode. Nothing super crazy happened. I mean, honestly, I thought Mariah might beat Nany, but that elimination was one of those where it could go either way. Mm-hmm. And so who smashed some heads for you?
The chunky drink smashed Fessy's head.
I still would like to know what that was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give it to Devin, just because he literally. I don't know if those two guys, if Jordyn and Fessy would have ever won that first leg
without him being a spotter,
without him helping out. And so just for them getting through that, I'll give that to Devin for who got their head smashed.
Everyone in the room when Jordyn and Tori were fighting.
I was gonna say Tori did again, just because it still lingered from last episode and
the episode before that.
Yeah,
you for a head smash, you've had Tori for the last 3 episodes.
Have I?
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
I swear you have.
I don't write them down. I just go off of what you say, and then I try to think of something different. But yeah, I feel like she still deserves it.
Yeah, no. Okay, so last week, smashed heads, Jordyn smashed Tori's head. Yeah. Head smashed me with Nelson leaving. And you're like, I'm going to give it to Tori.
She deserved it last week.
The week before, smashed heads, Nelson, me, head smashed Tori. And you're like, unanimous, Tori.
Again, she deserves it. So, well, let's get into our movies for this week, and the letter was J.
I know 100% we're gonna have some overlap.
Oh yeah. To be fair, there's not a lot of J movies comparatively, it seems, and to some of the other ones, and also a lot of the J movies are just a lot of sequels.
Yeah.
And
I didn't do sequels.
I picked single entries from certain franchises. I did not pick like part 1 and part 3 and part 1 and part 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
So, are you going? I have 1, 2, 3. I have 6. No, I have 7. But I figure we're gonna overlap.
Yeah,
So.
I told you I was stopping at 6 because I knew we would have overlap, but I thought 6 would be plenty. Like
well,
a
I
good
have 7
spot.
just in case. So, what's your first one?
Jurassic Park.
The original.
The OG.
That's the one I picked
1.
too. Yeah, I like. I think we've talked about it before. Like
iconic.
Well, no, that wasn't what I was gonna say.
That's what I was gonna say.
I was gonna say I like all of the movies, even the ones that aren't as good. Like I know a lot of people really think like the last Jurassic World or the last 2 Jurassic Worlds, they're like, oh, these are terrible. And I was like, I still like them. Like they're not like great works of cinema, but it's like dinosaurs, action movies. Like I'm in on.
They're eating people. They're eating other dinosaurs.
Yeah.
What more could you ask for?
Yeah, no, I'm completely fine with all of the Jurassic World, Jurassic Parks, all this stuff, and I like all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
every one of them.
But I did pick the first one.
Yeah, I picked number 1.
Okay, well for me, for this next one, it is also a series.
Okay.
But I did not pick the first one.
Ooh, okay.
I picked Jackass 3D.
I didn't pick any of those because I knew you would pick those.
The first movie's okay. It was just kind of like they're trying to figure out what they're doing. The second one was a little bit better. To me, I think they really hit their stride on the third one. Jake and I actually went to see it in theaters together at an 11:55 p.m. screening, and we were the only people in there, and they had to radio for someone to go turn the projector on for it to start for us. And it was a lot of fun. And I loved the fourth one, like forever. Like it was a lot of fun too. But I think 3D was kind of where they hit their stride. So that's my pick.
Okay. For me, number 2, or just number 2 on the list.
Yeah.
It's not ranked.
Yeah.
Jumanji.
I did not put Jumanji on my list.
If I
You're talking about the one with The Rock, right?
No.
I haven't seen those.
Robin Williams,
Yeah.
Jumanji. And it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I walk into a room or I'm flipping through channels and it's on, I don't care if it's halfway through the movie. I'm going to stop what I'm doing and I'm going to watch the rest of it.
Have you watched the 2 new ones?
I have not.
I haven't either.
I've heard that they're not good.
I've heard that they're better than they should be.
I haven't watched them. Simply out of principle.
Well, yeah, I didn't have that one on my list. You know, to follow your, to follow your trend of what you just said, I was going to wait on this one.
Okay.
You said it's a movie that anytime it's on, you'll sit down and watch it, whatever. Just Friends.
That's my next one on the list.
Just Friends. And there's multiple movies called Just Friends. I'm talking about the one from 2005 with
Ryan
Reynolds and Anna Faris and Amy Smart and Chris Klein.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it shouldn't be as fun to watch it as it is. I just like that movie a lot.
It's a good movie.
It's a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie.
But it's also not, but it's just, I for whatever reason, and this was way before I met you, I remember it was in college. I just saw it on one time and I was like, oh, this movie's really good. And then I would catch it on all the time on TV and I would just have it on and watch it. So yeah, that's my other one.
Yeah, that was actually I go in order of how, like, when I go through the list and write them in. Just Friends was next. So my next one is an old callback. Probably not seen it in over 20 years. Jungle to Jungle.
I had that one on my list.
That's
yeah.
I haven't watched it in so long, but I remember when I was a kid, I watched it a lot and
I did too.
loved it.
I had it on VHS.
I remember it being a really fun movie.
Yeah, Mimi Siku. That was his name.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, I love Tim Allen.
I don't love Tim Allen these days. I liked Tim Allen in Home Improvement era.
And the Santa Claus.
That mid 90s is
and
fine.
Jungle to Jungle.
I don't really like him these days. But I had that one on my list as well because I really liked it growing up. For me, the next one, I just picked the first John Wick movie.
I knew you would pick those.
Yeah, I haven't seen the third one yet, and I liked the second one, but I honestly couldn't tell you if I liked it more than the first one, so I just went with the first one again, kind of like I did with Jurassic Park. Because they're just good. Like, Keanu Reeves good. They're just high quality action movies that are done really well. And so I picked that one.
Okay, next, it is a movie. Although it is technically a Disney Channel.
Johnny Tsunami.
Tsunami. Disney Channel original movie.
Yeah,
Great movie.
I almost put that one on there because I agree. It was a good movie, and rest in peace, the guy who plays Jet Jackson. What's his name? I forgot.
I don't know. I'm not good with names like that.
Yeah, he committed suicide a handful of years ago. But he's in that, and I agree with that. The second one was not very good. The Johnny Tsunami Back on Board, because it's about mountain boarding,
that's not what we came here for.
No, I have a Facebook memory that pops up every so often from like 9 years ago. That was hey, here's a movie idea. They take Johnny Tsunami and he blows out his knee and he can't snowboard or mountain board or anything or surf anymore. And so he has to become a chef, and they call it Johnny Umami. And that would be perfect. Like, they should make that movie. Like, they should bring back, they're doing all these nostalgia reboots. Bring back, he doesn't have to do the extreme sports anymore. But I didn't put that one on there just because I figured you would. My next one, I went with a movie that I know you haven't seen.
Okay.
Called John Q.
I thought you were going to say Jason Goes to Hell.
What is that?
It's one of the
one of the Jason movies?
Yeah.
I don't remember that one at all.
When I was going through the list of Jeyyy movies, that was one of the top ones that popped up, and I was like, I haven't seen that, and I'm not going to.
I've seen a decent amount of those.
It's supposed
the Jason movies.
So Jason Goes to Hell is supposed to be the last one.
But they weren't.
But it never really is.
But they weren't called that though, right? Like they weren't called Jason.
It was Friday the 13th.
Yeah. So that's why I don't know. I don't remember looking at those. Yeah, I used to I would watch those on TV, like the third and fourth and fifth ones, just cause like they were just over the top, like cheesy at that point.
Monster movies.
Yeah, I don't like horror movies, but John Q is Denzel, saw it in theaters, came out in like 2000. About his son needs a life-saving surgery and the hospital won't do it for whatever reason. It's on Netflix right now.
You and I actually talked about this movie like last week.
Yeah, because I told you should watch it.
Because I hadn't seen it, and you're like, "Oh, it's like based on a true story."
I don't know I don't think I said that because I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh, well, you had told me it was this dad that was desperate to get his kid a transplant so that he could live.
Yeah, so he takes a hospital hostage.
Yeah.
To get. Yeah.
And I was like, you can't be mad at the dad for that.
No, and in the movie, like you're not mad. Like it's like, oh, this is like he's at like the last effort he can like this is all he can do because they've denied all this stuff and
it's desperation at its highest level.
It's a lot of medical red tape and he's like, my kid's gonna die if you don't do this. And no, you don't blame him at all. He's not the bad guy in it. I don't know if I'd have to look into. I don't think it's based on a true story, but it could be. It very well could be because that's the type of thing that like you could justifiably see. Like, oh, this guy's not trying to hurt anyone.
He's trying to.
He's just
not
using
let his
this,
child die.
Yeah, he's using this as a means to just hopefully get this to happen. So, do you have any more or no?
My final one, which I do not think it's part of the series. It's in the same world, but we had 1, 2, and 3, and this is 1, 2, and 3.
What?
Jurassic World.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Chris Pratt takes over.
Yeah, no. I just was like, it's the same universe, so I just picked one and just left it alone.
To me, it is the same universe, but it's not the same because we had Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
and this is Jurassic World 1, 2,
Technically, we
and
had
3.
Jurassic Park, then the Lost World Jurassic Park, and then Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
they're Jurassic Parks, and this is Jurassic World. It's a whole new area. It's a whole new place. And it's all new people.
That was the first movie me and you ever saw together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in IMAX, and you lost your mind.
It was for my birthday,
Yeah.
and I was like jumping out of my seat.
Yeah. And I was like, good God.
It was really intense.
Like, let's calm down a little bit. So the only other one I had was, I put it on the list because I do like this movie. I don't think it is a necessarily good movie, but I know Jake would think that. And so I put Jingle All the Way on here.
I almost put that on my list, but I was like, oh no, Zach really likes that movie, so I can't take that.
I mean, I do like it. I like Phil Hartman in it. I like Arnold Schwarzenegger as just like a weird normal dad for some reason, and but
normal, but not really normal.
Yeah, but I don't think it's like a great movie or anything like that. But I figured we'd have overlap, so I put that one on there. So anyway, we have one more to catch up on. And
I like that this week and last week we both ended the movie segments on Christmas movies.
I don't remember
Because I did Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas
yeah.
last episode.
Yeah, and anyway,
Let's go for it again. Next episode, Christmas movie.
We'll see what happens. But we got one more episode left, and we have 3 days before the next
Christmas.
No, before the next episode airs, and so we'll be recording sometime before then in the next 2 days. Just depends on how our schedules go in the evenings going forward, but we'll be back with you in just a couple days, and then we're going to be all completely caught up, and then we'll be like, hey guys, we're just putting out normal episodes, not 4 in a week, and not putting out any for 2 weeks at a time. So we'll be back with you.
Hey, stay cute.